Hello, Fred Douglas, and welcome to another virtual music lesson. Today we're going to be doing some more interesting sound experiments, but first I have two shout outs. I have a shout out for Nevea. She commented on a couple of these virtual music lessons and it was really great to see that. And I have another shout out to Nicholas in 4th grade, and he submitted a groove he created on Quaver, so let's go listen to that now. Alright, so I am in Quaver right now, and I'm taking a look at Nick's submission that he did for our Q Grooves lesson that we did last time in the last lesson, so lesson 11 on April 29th. Alright, so here is his groove that he submitted. Pretty awesome job. You can see that he filled out every single one of his boxes except for one at the top in the keyboard. So maybe it was an accident, this one, or maybe it was left blank on purpose. Who knows? But let's go ahead and listen to his groove. Okay, I'm gonna pause it right there. So as you can see on the bass part, it is a little bit small on the screen, but you can see he did the same pattern that I had in my lesson. So he did 3 5 3 5 3 5, and then the keyboard is pretty similar to what I had in my lesson 2, 3 5 and 1. And then for the rest of them, synth, drums, and percussion, he did his own patterns, it looks like. So really awesome job. Great to hear your groove. So last week we did a sound experiment where we went outside and listened to different types of sounds. So it was raining that day. We listened to the rain falling on my umbrella. We listened to footsteps on different types of materials. And then we described the sounds and kind of analyzed what kind of sounds and pitches we heard. Today we're going to do another sound experiment, this time again with pitch and how we find different types of pitches. So let's get started with our music experiment for today. So we're going to talk about pitch again, taking a look at my little xylophone here. If you can see that each of the bars are a different size. So on this end our bars are much bigger, and then on this end they are much smaller. So listen if you can see what's the difference between the small bars and the big bars. So the difference between the smallest bars and the biggest bars is the pitch. When we play on the smallest bar, it's a higher pitch than when we play on the biggest bar. It's a lower pitch, high, and then low. So the bigger the object, or the bigger the bar, the lower the pitch, and then the smaller the object is, or the shorter, for this example, the smaller or the shorter the object is, the higher the pitch. So we have small is high for this example, and the bigger one is low for this example. Now let's take a look at another instrument and how the pitch works for that instrument. So now let's take a look at my little ukulele here. So for the ukulele we have strings, and just looking at the strings, they're all pretty much the same length. So it's a little bit different than the xylophone. We had bigger bars and smaller bars that created different pitches. So for the ukulele, or for stringed instruments, we create our own low, and high pitches with each of the strings. So let's take a listen to one of the strings here, just open string. Now what if we, by ourselves, make the string shorter? So right now I'm pushing down right at the top. So here's open string. So hopefully you can hear that pitch changing as I'm pressing down and making the string shorter. So here's the open string again. So for the sound of the ukulele, it goes with the same rules as the xylophone had. The longer the object, or for example, the longer the string, the lower the pitch. And then when we press down, we make the string shorter. And then the pitch gets higher. Alright, so now we're going to explore the same thing using our own, I guess, little DIY instruments. Before we get started with the rest of this experiment, I just want to say if you're following along with me, I want you to be very careful. Right now I'm using glass cups, so a couple different types of glasses here. If you're doing the same thing, you can use plastic cups, you can use a mug, you can use even a can or a water bottle or something like that. But if you are doing this, be very careful with your glass objects and do it with adult supervision, just to stay safe. So right now I have 5 different sized glasses in front of me. I have a big one that is pretty tall and pretty skinny up at the top. I have this SpongeBob one that is almost the same height, but it's a little bit wider at the top. Then I have this one that's a little bit shorter. And then my two smallest ones, the shortest one and the middle one. This one's a little bit taller. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to test the pitch. So for this experiment, I'm going to be using a pen to play on my glasses, my glass instruments. And I'm using a pen today because it's going to be nice and gentle. The plastic is going to be nice and soft, so I don't have to worry about accidentally breaking or chipping my glasses, so I can stay safe. So I'm going to use the cover of it on the back, so it's just that nice plastic soft sound. If you have a pencil, you can also use a pencil. It's going to be a little bit louder since it's a little harder. But today I'm going to try to make my sounds a little bit more quiet using this plastic pencil. Not a pencil. This plastic pen. Alright, so to start off, I want to listen to the pitches, to the pitches of all of my glasses just by gently hitting them or tapping them on their side. Alright, now I want to organize them in order of, like we saw before. Let me get my xylophone back out. So I want to organize them in order of lowest pitch to highest pitch, like we have right here on the xylophone. So I'm going to go back here again. So I think this darker glass is the lowest pitch out of all of them. So I'm going to put it all the way on this side. Alright, so it goes lower, then we're going higher, and next up. Alright, so we have lowest, and then we're slowly getting higher in pitch. And now these last two smallest ones. Actually, it might be that this one. Yeah, so actually, for this example, this one, that's the shorter one, is not the highest pitch. So let's listen again. Hopefully you can see all my glasses here. Let's listen again to the pitch of each of these glasses. So now I think we have them nicely organized by lowest pitch to highest pitch. Just like we saw on the xylophone, we have low on this side. And then we have highest on this side. So before we go any further, I have a question for you, a science question. Why do you think these bigger glasses have a lower pitch versus the smallest ones that have a higher pitch? And now I have even more of a challenge for you. These two at the end, these are being a little bit tricky. Why do you think this one that's shorter is a lower pitch than this one that's a little bit taller? So at the end of this video, I'll actually give you the answer why this smaller one is a lower pitch than this bigger or taller glass. So stick around all the way to the end of this video so you can see the answer of why this glass is a lower pitch than this one. So now let's focus on just the SpongeBob cup, and I also brought over my Patrick cup. They're both the same exact size and the same exact shape, so they should give us the same exact pitch. Let's listen to the pitch of both of them. Here's Patrick, here's SpongeBob. So the pitch of both of these glasses or these cups is the same. Now what happens if I take some water and pour it into my SpongeBob cup? Just a little bit on the bottom. Now let's compare the pitch. I added some water, so take a guess. Do you think it's going to be higher pitch or lower pitch than it was before? So again, just to compare, here's the empty Patrick cup. Now here's SpongeBob with a little bit of water. Alright, so with just a little bit of water, it actually stayed the same. So the pitch did not change very much. Now let's add a little bit more water to our cup. Alright, now I added even more water. Last time the pitch did not change at all. This time, what do you think is going to happen? Take a guess. I added more water, so is the pitch going to be higher or lower? Let's listen to empty Patrick again. Alright, now let's listen to SpongeBob. So the pitch is starting to change. It's a very small change. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it through the video, but in person I can hear it's a little bit different. I actually think that the pitch is getting higher. Let's add even more water. Now I think we're about halfway filled with water in the SpongeBob cup. Let's listen to Patrick again. Alright, so the pitch did change again. I want you to take a guess. Was it a higher or lower pitch now? Here's Patrick. Here's SpongeBob. Alright, so now it sounds like the pitch is getting a little bit lower. Let's add even more water. Alright, let's listen again, Patrick. Empty Patrick. So now we're filled up, let's say maybe 2/3 full of water, and the pitch is getting pretty low. Okay, now a little bit more, not full yet, almost. Let's listen this time. He's almost full and Patrick is still empty. Now I think you can really hear the difference in the pitch. Okay, last time now. I'm gonna fill this cup with water almost full. All right, if I pour any more, it's gonna spill over the top. So now let's listen. The pitch is really different this time in SpongeBob. So we have these two glasses. At the beginning, they were exactly the same. The glasses are the same shape and size. But now we have one glass that's completely full of air and one glass that's almost pretty much completely full with water. So this one has the most water in it. So just like we did our xylophone before, the bigger bar made the lower sound. This time the bigger amount of water that's filled up inside the glass is making the lower sound. This one has no water in it, so that means it's the smallest, it has the smallest amount of water, which is none, and it makes the highest pitch. So now what you can do for this experiment with, again, like I said at the beginning, with parental or adult supervision, you can take a few size cups or glasses or bottles, so they're all the same size. You can fill them up with different levels or amounts of water, and then try to make your own instrument. So maybe you can try to even match the pitches of the sounds of the xylophone. So they don't match exactly what I have on the xylophone here, but you can try your best to make, let's say, 5 different pitches. So you can make a little scale. Remember my challenge for you at the beginning of this video with these two glasses, why this shorter one is actually a lower pitch than this taller one, which is a higher pitch. So you might be thinking that the shorter one should be higher because everything that's smaller, like we talked about on our xylophone, the smaller the object, the smaller the pitch. Why is this one actually lower than the taller one? So to figure this out, I'm going to get a little bit of water and I'm going to fill each of these up completely full with water. Alright, I'm going to stop right about there so I don't spill it all over my desk here. And then I'm going to take this one, fill it up with water too. Alright, right about there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how much water is in each of these cups. Alright, so now I have a measuring cup here, and we're going to find out how much water is in each of these glasses or these cups. So I'm going to try carefully do this. So let's see, once this settles, the taller glass has a little bit less than 1 cup of water in it. So this one, I'm going to get a little sticky note, put 1 cup of water right here. Okay, now I emptied out my measuring cup and I'm going to take the shorter glass and see how much water was in here. Oh, I spilled a little bit out, but that's okay. Alright, so for my shorter cup, it looks like the amount of water in it was a little bit more than a cup. So now it looks like the shorter glass that I had has a little bit more than a cup of water. So I'm going to move this to the side. And for the shorter glass, it looks like there's... So for the shorter glass, it looks like there is over 1 cup of water in this glass. So the reason we filled up both of these glasses with water is we wanted to find out how much space they take up inside. We found out that this glass is actually a little bit bigger inside here, so it can hold more liquid and it can also hold more air than this cup, which is a little bit smaller. So for your experiment, it doesn't necessarily depend on how tall or short your glasses or your cups are. It depends on how much inside, how much liquid and how much air the cups can hold inside of them. So that's why this one has a lower pitch than this one, which is a higher pitch.